right? What happens is your business takes off as an OTA. It does because it improves the conversion, right? Because and you help people, you help people find the product that is right for them, that improves conversion, and of course, customer satisfaction. Because if you go, right, as a customer, and it wasn't what you expected, then you're not as satisfied, right? So, I promised I was going to be short. So what's my conclusion? Simple. Will they become? I don't know. Things evolve very fast. Could be, right? But what is important is that search is very intertwined with everything that we do as OLTAs. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Luis, thanks for that. It's just what we needed. But a vision, really, of search engines working seamlessly with OTAs. But to take up the Lucia's point, John, would you stock another OTA's products on your website?
Well, we actually do. I mean, if you look at it in that sense, but we don't actually compare our prices versus our competitors because we know ultimately that from a supplier point of view, the base level we negotiate exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And it's called price parity, which all our suppliers work across the entire OTAs with on the same level. I think though, and thank you, Luis, for that. But by the way, everybody, you could add Travelocity and Orbitz to that presentation. It would be exactly the same thing. We all do exactly the same thing, and I think it was a great overview. Thank you. But I think just stepping back into this, we really need to start, thinking about, the customer today, and perhaps talking a little bit as, the customer's language. And if you think upon it as you're having a dinner party at home with friends, and we start talking about PPC, CPC, and blah, 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 etc. I mean, ultimately the customer is not really aware of that or interested in that. So with that in mind, I mean, fundamentally today, both the OTAs and the meta search companies have very much similarities, as I said earlier, but our customers are different, which I've described earlier. I think the second differentiator between the online travel companies and the meta searches is the marketing levers are different. And what I mean by that is that, in the OTA space, we invest a lot of money on the back end in terms of building and profiling our customer databases and making sure that we offer them the best promotions. I hate to use the word deals, but the word promotions is added value based on what their spending budget is. Also with the packaging element, etc. So that fully serviced, whole travel experience from destination, hotel, flight, cruise, or whatever, all encompassed into one. So in that sense, our loyalty definition is broader, and we invest a lot more in having that customer back to our site. Just as a relevant statistic, for Orbitz worldwide, over 45% of our customers are repeat customers, which I think is something that all of us as OTAs is something that we need to invest and continue to invest more on. Whereas on the meta search side, I guess that marketing lever is somewhat different. It's all about, ultimately, to the customer offering, wow, that was a great price, and that was a great deal. And that's the first and foremost of it there.
Michael, I mean, this is a question thrown out to you all, and I'm bouncing it off you as well. Would you stock somebody else's products on your website?
Actually, we wouldn't if it comes to hotel, because we're specialized on hotel, and the one out is out to the customer base is we offer the best deals out there, and that's what we're endlessly in. If you look at parity nowadays, it's a concept that works from the top line, i.e. from the rate side, but it doesn't work anymore from a commission side. And if you look at it, the one side is here, we're all talking nicely about the customer and the people that we reach. But I think also, and if we look at the audience here, there's a lot of suppliers in the room. And I think you also need to look at, and we heard it a little earlier in the Eye for Travel presentation, it's also cost of distribution. If you look at the internet nowadays, it's way needed that it's been driving down cost of distribution. In many cases nowadays, there is the fact that once it was beneficial to actually move and change the channel for distribution into online, would actually drive down the cost of distribution. In many cases nowadays, actually, the cost of distribution is equal to what it's been, and actually is sometimes even increasing to the cost of distribution that's been out there in historic offline or whatever kind of models. Now, looking at cost of distribution should also be a benefit out to the people that distribute through the site. And I would say, I think we're all challenged in that regard to find the right balance between what's the value I bring to somebody that I'm selling on the site versus the cost that is out there. And I think, moving into the future, it's not so much about, getting, what is actually, whether it's a search engine or not, it's finding, as John said, the right customer for the right product. And, and I think what the suppliers will find out over time is, who's the right distributor for the market that I want to target. And depending on which market segment I'm going to go after, it will probably be a different site. So in order for a search engine, the classic Google, the Yahoos of this world, the benefit there is they have access to pretty much to the entire content that is out there, whereby none of us sitting here, even to Lewis's point, probably the largest supplier out there or, the biggest marketplace in the world for travel, he doesn't have access to the complete availability. So, looking at on the one side, the customers will find that. It will be built by brand. And the suppliers are really, probably when we're moving out of the crisis, they will probably start managing their distribution by the cost of distribution, which they, at the moment, clearly they can't because they need every penny of revenue that they can get.
So, it would be wrong to summarize such a sophisticated point, but one of the things you were saying was that your clients, the access you provide to clients is one of the unique things you give to a hotel.
Yes.
And you wouldn't want that readily diluted.
No, and I think the way that we are, because we're very convinced we got a great product in the market, and it's like, unlike many of the, our colleagues here on the stage who, target pretty much the B2C market, HRS is very much targeted on three pillars, which is on the one is B2C, and that's where we are, I guess, all in a little bit in competition here. But we also have a very strong affiliate network where we service travel-related, sponsors like, a lot of airlines that we work with. We also look at mobility, which is a new segment that we've taken off very nicely, and I think is a real key up to the future. We've got a great iPhone application that we launched this year. The BlackBerry application is the most searched and most downloaded application in the BlackBerry App Store, with more than 20,000 over the last 4 weeks. And the last one is also the corporate market, which is incremental to a lot of the customers and to a lot of the suppliers that are in the room and that hotels need. So if you look at the different pillars, I would say, yes, we want to be that gateway for supply into these different arenas, and I don't see a reason why, I should, have other players to go along with that. If we're a specific niche player in that hotel distribution only, specialized in that, paying great value, to a low cost to the suppliers, which is designed what we're going to do, and we're going to remain there as a low-cost supplier, not to a no-cost distributor, but low-cost. We don't see a reason why to integrate other players in the online world.
Right. I know from personal experience that suppliers love corporate customers booking leisure travel online. It's one of the things they tell me they like. Chris, your position on this, I mean, you also have a very strong position with your customers at TravelZoo, but your proposition is slightly different.
Yeah, I think if you look back in the last 20 years, what happened? 20 years ago, there was the GDS, and there were newspapers. And that was a pretty simple world. Maybe there were some nice magazines as well, like Condé Nast. And as time moved on, the models started to merge. But throughout the last 20 years, you've always had search, and you've always had push promotions. So if I'm a hotel in Tuscany at the moment, if I had a hotel in Tuscany, I would probably be looking at the next 2 or 3 months, seeing that I'm not full.